I had an AI create 100 different stories for Reddit. You will not believe what it had to say. From waterfall proposals to surviving Everest, a relationship journey beyond the extreme. Hey there, Reddit community. I've been a long-time lurker here, and today I'm finally ready to share the wildest roller coaster of a relationship story that's ever happened to me. Strap in. It's a wild ride. I'll go by the name Sarah to protect the privacy of those involved. This story starts like your typical love affair. A boy and a girl, sparks flying, all that jazz. But trust me, it takes some utterly unexpected turns. Let's set the stage. I was in my early 20s, navigating the tumultuous waters of young love. Enter John, a guy I met through mutual friends. We hit it off instantly, sharing common interests, goals, and a sense of adventure. Everything was sunshine and rainbows in the beginning. The craziness began when John revealed that he had a fascination with extreme sports. I'm talking about skydiving, base jumping, and other heart pounding activities. At first, I was intrigued. I mean, who wouldn't be? But then he dropped a bombshell. He wanted me to join him on these crazy escapades. Now, I'm not exactly what you'd call an adrenaline junkie. In fact, I'd never even been on a roller coaster before meeting John. But he had this irresistible charm and an uncanny ability to make everything sound like an amazing adventure. Against my better judgment, I agreed to take the plunge. Literally. Our first escapade was skydiving, and I can't deny that it was exhilarating. The rush of free falling from 13,000 feet was something I never thought I'd experience. For a while, I was convinced that I could keep up with John's daredevil lifestyle. But then, things escalated. Base jumping off cliffs, whitewater rafting through Class 5 rapids, and even swimming with sharks became our weekend hobbies. I was way out of my comfort zone, but I couldn't deny that there was something thrilling about conquering my fears. However, there was a twist I never saw coming. One sunny afternoon, while on a romantic getaway in Hawaii, John decided to pop the question. On the edge of a 30-foot waterfall, with the turquoise waters and the Pacific Ocean below us, he got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. It was picture perfect, but it came with a catch. I had to say yes while ziplining across the waterfall. I couldn't believe it. The proposal was incredible, but it felt like something out of a James Bond movie. I was terrified, but I also knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime moment. So, with my heart pounding, I agreed to the zipline proposal. As I soared across that waterfall with the ring in hand, I felt like I was living in a dream. It was utterly insane, but it was also the most exhilarating yes I'd ever uttered. We tied the knot a few months later, and our relationship became a whirlwind of adventure. Fast forward to a few years into our marriage. John's thirst for adrenaline hadn't waned. If anything, it had intensified. He started planning these insane trips, like hiking through dense jungles to reach hidden waterfalls, swimming in ice-cold glacial lakes, and even attempting to summit some of the world's tallest peaks. But the craziest part was that he wanted me to join him in these escapades. Don't get me wrong, I loved him to pieces, and I wanted to be part of his world, but it was pushing me to my limits. I'd looked at these mountains and waterfalls and think, you've got to be kidding me. The turning point came when John announced he wanted to climb Mount Everest. Everest. It was beyond anything I had ever imagined. I tried to talk him out of it, but he was determined. And then he dropped the bombshell. He wanted me to climb it with him. Now, for someone who had never climbed anything taller than a flight of stairs, this was madness. I thought of ascending that treacherous peak was overwhelming. It felt like I was being asked to take on a Herculean task, and I wasn't sure if I had it in me. But John was relentless. He convinced me that we could do it together, and that this would be the ultimate adventure that would define our marriage. He was so persuasive that I found myself agreeing to this outrageous plan. We embarked on months of rigorous training, scaling smaller mountains and honing our mountaineering skills. Then came the fateful day when we set foot on Everest's base camp. The sheer magnitude of the challenge hit me like a ton of bricks. The altitude, the biting cold, and the unforgiving terrain. It was like another planet. I was determined to make it, but doubts gnawed at me. Our journey to the summit was a test of every ounce of strength and endurance I had. It was grueling, and there were moments when I thought I couldn't go on. But John's unwavering support and encouragement kept me going. We faced avalanches, extreme temperatures, and the ever-present threat of altitude sickness. And then one fateful morning, we stood on the roof of the world. We had conquered Mount Everest. The sense of accomplishment was indescribable. I had pushed my limits beyond anything I thought possible, and I owed it all to John and his relentless pursuit of adventure. But here's the twist. Our descent from Everest was where things took a harrowing turn. A sudden snowstorm hit, and we found ourselves disoriented and lost. The temperature plummeted, and our supplies dwindled. It was a nightmare scenario I could never have imagined. For days, we fought to survive in those brutal conditions. Frostbite, exhaustion, and hunger were our constant companions. It felt like a scene from a survival movie, and we clung to each other for dear life. But, despite the odds stacked against us, we made it. We were rescued by a team of experienced climbers who had been searching for us. I can't put into words the relief I felt when I saw their faces. It was a miracle that we had survived. Our ordeal on Everest was a wake-up call for both of us. We had pursued adventure to the point of risking our lives, and it had nearly cost us everything. It made us realize that there was more to life than living on the edge. Since then, we've toned down our thrill-seeking escapades. We still love adventure, but we found a healthier balance that allows us to enjoy life without constantly tempting fate. Our relationship has grown stronger through these experiences, and we've learned to cherish the moments of quiet and serenity just as much as the adrenaline rushes. Looking back, our journey from adrenaline junkies to a more balanced life has been one of the craziest and most profound transformations in our relationship. It's a reminder that love can endure even the most extreme challenges, and that sometimes the craziest adventures are the ones that teach us the most about ourselves and our relationships. So, Reddit, that's my wild ride of a relationship story. From a waterfall proposal to surviving Everest, it's been a roller coaster of emotions and experiences that have forever changed me. And through it all, I've learned that love can be just as exhilarating as any adrenaline rush. Stitched together, rebuilding love after infidelity. I never thought I'd be posting here. For years, I was the one reading other people's stories, offering advice, and offering support. But today, I find myself in the middle of a nightmare, and I'm not sure where to turn. I'll call myself Sarah to protect our privacy, and my husband, I'll call him David. We were high school sweethearts who defied the odds, the couple everyone looked up to. We had it all: a beautiful house, two adorable kids, and what seemed like an unbreakable bond. But a few months ago, my world crumbled. It started with the small things. David seemed distant, preoccupied with his phone. I brushed it off as work stress, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. And then, one evening, it all came crashing down. I was folding laundry when his phone buzzed on the coffee table. It was a text from someone named Liz. The message read, "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe." My heart sank as I stared at those words. My hands were trembling as I clicked on the conversation, and what I found shattered my world. The messages between David and Liz were intimate, filled with declarations of love, longing, and plans for a future together. I couldn't breathe. My perfect marriage, my solid foundation, was unraveling before my eyes. I confronted David when he got home that night, my voice trembling with anger and hurt as I showed him the messages. He looked like a deer caught in the headlights. The confrontation was raw, a torrent of emotions unleashed. He confessed to an affair that had been going on for months, explaining that he felt neglected, unloved, and unappreciated in our marriage. It was as if my heart was being ripped apart as he talked about feeling disconnected and turning to someone else to fill the void. We decided to take some time apart, to give each other space to think and heal. Those days felt like an eternity. I was haunted by questions, doubts, and crippling sadness. Should I try to salvage our relationship, or should I walk away from the pain and humiliation? In those dark days, I sought therapy. It was a lifeline, a place where I could unravel my emotions and try to make sense of the chaos. I began to understand David's perspective, as hard as it was to hear. Our once unbreakable bond had frayed, and our love had been buried beneath layers of resentment and neglect. David was also seeking therapy, battling his own demons and trying to untangle the mess he had created. It wasn't a quick fix, and it wasn't easy. but it was a sign that he was willing to confront his mistakes and work towards a resolution. As weeks turned into months, I slowly began to heal. Forgiveness was a distant horizon, but it became a possibility. The pain didn't vanish, but it transformed into a scar, a reminder of the love that had been tarnished. We decided to try couples counseling, a daunting journey into the depths of our broken relationship. It was brutal. We had to face our hurt, our betrayal, and our shattered trust. But we also had to remember the love, the history, and the dreams that had brought us together. Our therapist guided us through this emotional minefield, helping us rebuild trust, communication, and intimacy. David and I realized that we were not the same people who had vowed to love and cherish each other all those years ago. We had grown, and our love had evolved. It was different, scarred and wounded, but it was still love. That realization was the turning point in our journey. We had made a choice to try and rebuild our broken marriage. It was a daunting task, filled with uncertainty and pain. Trust was fragile, and there were moments when it felt like we were walking on eggshells around each other. But we persevered, relearning how to communicate, how to listen, and how to be vulnerable. Months turned into a year, and today we stand at another crossroads. Our perfect marriage will never be perfect again, and the infidelity will forever be a part of our story. But we chose to fight for our... Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Your support means the world to me. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comment section below. I love hearing from you and value your input. Stay tuned for my next video, coming out soon. Until then, remember to stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop learning. This is Chino, signing off.